Hello again. I'm Steve Longo, and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Rock and Roll Show and Tell, coming to you from the No Gloom Ballroom. Okay, here we go again. Another drummer. Oh, you know how it gets when I have my brothers in the house. And this is no ordinary drummer. This is somebody that I've known almost my entire career. A very respected, well-recorded, and well-thought-of monster player, Bobby Rondinelli. Now, Bobby's played with a few groups that you might know. Blue Öyster Cult, Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, Quiet Riot, Black Sabbath, The Lizards. I mean, it's a big list. And Bobby's an amazing player. Ever since the earliest days on Long Island, you always heard the name Bobby Rondinelli. It's going to be fun to catch up. So here we go from the No Gloom Ballroom. It's Rock and Roll Show and Tell.
See, you get saved.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, I'll remember and tell you the rest of it later.
No.
Hey! How are you? Good, man.
Good. How are you, Steve?
Good, man. What's shaking?
It's keeping busy, thank God.
Yeah, right. I mean, we were talking the other day. I'm happy for you. I've got some in fact, craziness just happened today. That's like, you know how it happens, right? I mean, don't you just get the call and it's like, holy Christmas, I gotta. And hey, man, you know, well deserved for you, my friend. You're one of the real guys, and thank you. But I noticed, you know, Angus sent me the pictures, and I saw the green sparkle Ludwig set. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I was a Slingerland kid, but when I would go down to Sam Ash, which was right in White Plains, they would give me the catalog, and the double set, I don't know if you remember, the double set was always green sparkle, and I was like, oh, God. And you got it. So I feel better now.
Yeah, no, I got a bunch of vintage Ludwig kits, and they actually just sent me 3 weeks ago a new kit that's killer, gold sparkle, but I got a bunch of the vintage kits, too. I love that stuff. I
didn't realize that you were, you know, that, I mean, how would I? I didn't know that you were, when we were talking about the kit for the studio the other day on the phone, and you told me about the 3-ply and this and that and the other thing and what not, you know, that all the records, that was just an amazing thing to me, you know, because back then, and I don't know about you, you know, my first set was Slingerland set. I had no idea about any of that stuff.
Well, I mean, most of the bands that we dug growing up used Ludwig drums. From Zeppelin, everybody loved Zeppelin. Everybody loved the Beatles. Grand Funk, Humble Pie, Deep Purple. I rest my case, and it keeps going. You know what I mean? A lot of the bands. So, I mean, that's the sound that I grew up loving, and even if they were using something else in the studio, to me, it was Ludwig. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I get that. I mean, I really do get that. For me, I love some of the things that guys did back then. But I was about, you know, for me, it was about having my own thing, and my thing developed over years, and this good fortune and that thing. And it just, you know, because I don't think I've used, well, that's not true. When I was touring with John, I used double heads I had a graphite set of Grover with, you know, resonant heads. But all those Rat Race years, that was all those melodic toms.
It worked great. You know, it's, I still remember those gigs, man. That band scared a lot of people, me included. I was like, "Oh my God, listen to these guys!" It was incredible.
Well, you know, we can. I thank you, bro. I mean, that's and high praise, because I know where you've been, and you have, you know, my respect. It's amazing to me what we were a part of back then. What I remember, whenever I hear your name, I remember Railway and Gun.
Oh, yeah.
That's what comes right up, because first of all, who thinks of a name like that? That was a cool name, really.
That was a very cool name.
And I heard about Bobby Rondinelli, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was 17. I was 17 when I joined Railway.
Yeah, man. And it was, and so was that the first band that you were,
Well, that was the first, fairly well-known Long Island band, Railway and Gun. Absolutely, because I had just moved out from the city, and it's crazy because my father was buying something from my brother at Sam Ash, and he heard Angelo Gallo, who was the guitar player and the leader of Railway, playing, and he says, "Oh, I like the way you play. Where are you playing?" I got 2 kids that play, and we went down to see him play at the Gaslight Palace in Smithtown, and I got up and jammed, and the next day they all came over my house, drummer included, because Ralph Sorgi wound up being a good friend, but he was getting bronchitis, and it was hurting him to play. So he said, "You should check out this kid." So they came to my house, and I got the gig the next day. It was crazy.
That's amazing. I'm telling you, man, that's absolutely. I mean, certainly I associate you with a lot of different things, including this. Are you ready? Don't let it be said I didn't have your baby commercial. No. Check us out.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Was that Nam?
That was Nam. Yeah, that was you, Nico, me. I guess we're near the Pisces thing. I think we were all doing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yep.
But yeah, man, I mean, that's just, I knew I had that picture and I had to find it. I just had to, I had to throw us back.
Unreal. Nico, I know Nico a long time. And when I first joined Rainbow, the Peisty people asked me to come to the factory and stay a night. And we stayed at Bobby Leiser's house. And Nico was there. And I got the bedroom and Nico got the couch. Now, that's when I was in Rainbow and he was not in Iron Maiden. If it was today, I'd be on the couch. Nico would get the bedroom. But Nico's a great guy. He's been a Peisty guy forever.
Oh, I know he has. I've seen, obviously I've seen a lot of the talks and the demos and stuff. And yeah, he has. And the truth is, I loved Peisty. And I go all the way back with Peisty to the black stamped 2002s. And when they first... I'm kind of not ashamed, but when they first came out, if you remember, if you broke one, they replaced it for $1. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Man, and so on Monday, I'd come in with 5 cymbals and $5 every frickin' Monday.
They must have loved you.
I loved me. But they honored the deal. It stopped pretty quick after that, but it was like, but I love those cymbals. What do you play now?
I've been with Peisty for over 40 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great cymbals. They treat me, the company's great. They treat me great. And I know what I'm getting. If I order something, it's going to be so close to the one I just had or broke. I mean, other companies make great stuff, but none of them have that kind of consistency.
Well, I always loved Peisty, although I've been a Zildjian guy, for almost as long as you've been a Peisty guy. Listen, you find your stuff, and it's got to work. It's a marriage between us.
Like with Zildjian, if you got a guy at the factory that knows you, knows what you like, you're good.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But with Peisty, you could if you want an 18-inch crash and it just broke 2002, and you go to a store and pick one up, it's going to be so close. You almost can't tell.
That I loved. I love those cymbals. Is it still that cymbal?
I use a bunch of different lines of their cymbals, but I would say, people ask me all the time, if you had to get one set of Peisties, what should you get? 2002s. They cover everything.
Amen. In every size, but they didn't say how many, right? I mean,
They could use a lot.
They didn't say how many. Yes, and sticks?
I've been with Vader for maybe 30 years.
Me too, man. Me too. Good wood. In fact, They're never out of reach.
There you go.
Now, in fact, I have them in my ship, my spares, just in case, you know. Yeah. But, yeah, man, and Vader, I've been with Vader since John Dawkes was my rep. That was 80.
Dawkes was my rep, too, back in the day.
Oh, come on. How cool is that? He was the best.
He was. He
really was the best. And, you know, the truth of the matter is I've always said I wouldn't endorse it if I wouldn't buy it. And
I'm the same way. If I don't love it, I don't need it. You know what I mean? And Vader, to me, it's even more drastic than drums and cymbals, because Vader sticks are so much better than everything else out there that it's not even close.
Say hallelujah.
It's unbelievable. It is I was with Remo. I mean, not Remo, Regal. And
Regal tip. Oh, I used to use the 5B.
I was with Regal, you know, and I left because they just started getting so inconsistent, and the sizes were different, the weights were different. You know, I used to call them up and go, "Did you sharpen the knife for the 2Bs or whatever, 2S, whatever I was using at the time?" Hold on, let me check. "Yeah, how'd you know?" I said, "Because the stick is bigger. If you take metal away, you got to adjust." I mean, I'm telling stick makers that, right?
Yeah, right.
So I leave. I'm playing with Black Sabbath. I'm playing in Buffalo. They call me and go, "We want to take you to lunch." Right? So I said, "Great." So they take me to lunch, and they say, "Why'd you leave?" And I said, "Well, do you realize right now you had three different 2S's for sale now?" And I go, "Where's the 2S's?" So they take me to a wall of 2S's. I go like this. I take out 2 sticks. I go, "Look at this. They're totally different." And they keep your stick on file. So I go, "Where's my stick?" So they take it out of a drawer with this guy and everybody's sticks in there. And I go, "Now you got 3 different ones." That's why I left. They said, "Look, we want you to come back. We're going to make you your own stick. You're going to get a commission." So how do you say no to that? Right? So 3 months we're going back and forth with sticks. So I'll make it a little thicker, a little longer, blah, blah, blah. You got it right. Send me 50 pairs, see if I like them. I love them.
That's awesome.
I'm going on tour with Sabbath. I said, "Send me 200 pairs, right? They send them. They're this much shorter.
No.
I called them up and I go, "Are you guys kidding?" So I was doing NAMM that year, and I went to, not NAMM, the Frankfurt Music Fair with Sabbath. I was in Europe. So I was playing at the fair, and I went to all the stick companies, and they all gave me enough sticks to realize that Vader was definitely... And like 30 years later, it hasn't changed.
No, man. I mean, I tell you what, and I'll tell you something else that's amazing. I have bricks of sticks from when they used to pack them the old way. You know, now we get them with the sleeves on them and they're shrink wrap. But I have boxes of them from the 90s. I pull them out and they feel exactly, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
And they always, you know, Alan and Chad are the two guys, you know, obviously the guys I deal with up there. They always take care of me. I always get, it's hard for me. I can usually tell if a stick is heavier than another stick. And it really takes me some feeling to find the difference in those sticks. They're amazing. Yeah, no,
I roll them all, you know, and just, you know, tap them, and 90% of them are perfect. And once they sent me seconds, they said, "We're sending you seconds because we're really out of good wood at the moment. If you need sticks, we're sending you seconds." I didn't know why they were seconds. Their seconds were better than everybody else's firsts. And I'm, you know, 100% serious.
I believe me, you're preaching to the choir, because I did I think it was 96, and they made me a batch of sticks for the tour, right? And then I said, "Well, you know, I'd like to have some of these with the merch." And they said, "Well, we can't give you the good sticks for the merch. We have to give you the seconds." So believe me, I know. And one night, I don't know what happened to my stick bag or whatever it was, and I think it was during sound check, and I said, just run out to the merch and just grab me a couple pairs of sticks so I can do the sound check. And it was like, I was waiting to see, and they were awesome. Never lost a tip, because I used to play nylon tips. Never. They're phenomenal.
They're definitely, bar none, as far as I'm concerned, the best stick company. And I won't say that with cymbals or drums, because everybody likes what they like, but nobody comes close to Vader.
And I had heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I had heard that Alan studied with Vic Firth to learn what he learned about boning the hickory. And that sounds exciting on television, doesn't it, kids? Boning the hickory. I don't know.
That's one of the few things I haven't done in my life. And
was bone the hickory?
No, I never boned the hickory.
All right, well, we're going to leave that alone. My last bit, pedal and heads.
Oh, man. I use Aquarian drum heads.
Great.
I love them. The company is great. The heads are consistent, and they sound great. I primarily use one-ply coated on all my toms, and either a one-ply with a dot underneath on my snare, or on some snares a high energy. They're great heads.
I've had a couple of higher back line kits that had their heads on them. You have to be great. You can't come up against all these other companies and not deliver. I mean, shit's getting so expensive these days. It's craziness. I don't want to buy a head and break it. And I'm with Evans. I've been with Evans for a very, very long time.
Great guys. I'm friends with all those people.
Steve Logan. Yeah, great. He's, I've always, Steve, what would happen if we did this? What would happen if we cut a hole in the bottom here? And he's a blast. I get all kinds of crazy new stuff. And, because I have my stuff set up in the studio. So it's what a dream. Just walk in and play and, or just a mic, just a little bit, but, not that.
Yeah, Steve's one of the nicest guys in the business.
Great guy, and has taken care of me in spades. I can't say enough about him. And the pedal, I need to know about the pedal.
Oh, the pedals I use are crazy, man. It's a Polish company called Charce Caputo. And it was during COVID, I was trying to reach my old pedal company, Axis, because they said they were sending me a new set of pedals, and I hadn't heard anything. And towards the end of COVID, I called a bunch of times, and they didn't respond. They would go, well, you know what? I'm going to look for something else. And Axis was very good to me for a lot of years. So I just searched this company online, and I emailed the guy, wow, your pedals look interesting, and he says, great, I love the way you play, man. I'll send you some pedals. And I've been with this company for, I guess, 3 years now. Great. They're like tanks. They're built like tanks. They come in a flight case with engraving on the pedals, your name or whatever you want, your logo. It's amazing. It's really high-end, probably the most high-end pedal I've seen. Definitely the most high-end pedal.
I need to see this thing, because I'll tell you what I use. And, I play double bass, so, 2 kicks. And so for me, the pedals have to really be balanced. And back in yesteryear, I came upon this pedal called a Premier 252. I don't know if you remember it or not.
Is that the one that's raised a little in the back with the ball on the top to tighten to the hoop?
Yes, it's got the...
Yeah, I got one down my basement, yeah.
Okay.
That's the best clamp made. There's some really good things about that pedal.
Right next to that is the tension thing, mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Well, for me, when I'm playing 2 bass drums, depending on whether I'm feeling leftish or rightish, I just put my foot on top of that thing and do it a quarter turn, and it's like magic. And that's what I've been using since then. I buy them online. I rebuild them.
Yeah, no. I have one. They're great pedals.
Oh my God! Well, I'm glad to know where another one is, just in case.
These pedals are so exact. Like I got 4 different sets of them, but the first set I screwed with them, right? And after I screwed them, they didn't feel as good, so I had to call Poland and go, "How do you set them? What's your factory setting?" So we got them back right, and then it's their default setting, and every set of pedals they've sent me after that, I don't even adjust them.
Wow!
I just make sure the beater height is the right height, and that's it. They're perfect. They're incredible work. They're like works of art almost. It's crazy.
I gotta have a picture. I gotta know about this. And so felt beater, wood beater.
These have a heavy. It's like a metal head, probably a heavy aluminum with a plastic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Curved plastic head. They make them with a flat head and a curved head. I don't like the way a flat head feels.
Yeah.
I like the curved head.
Yeah. Wow, I'd like to see those because I'm not going to try to remember how to spell that.
CZARCIE KOPYTO.
KOPYTO.
It means the devil's hoof. I went, devil's hoof.
Devil's hoof. Good. So man, tell me this, because I mean, well, the last time that we were in this, the last 2 times I remember us being in the same place was you were playing with Buck, and we were opening for you at the Chance, and then of course NAMM. But what do you get to do with those? You don't get to hang out. You never get to, I mean, come on, how many guys do we know? And you've been running the road for so many years. That's the whole reason I wanted to do the show, because I wanted to be able to talk to my friends that for no other reason but, hey, let's just hang out,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Railway and Gun, that was 70s, right?
Yeah, that was, I graduated in 73, and I guess I joined Railway and Gun in 71 because I was a junior in high school when I joined them.
Wow, so
I might have been a senior. It might have been 72.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'd be on the bus going to school, hearing ads on the radio for Railway and Gun. I thought I was really cool. That's my band. Yeah.
And so, what happened after that?
Well, I played with a bunch of Long Island bands. I played with Bonnie Parker Band.
I remember. Was Richie in the band then? Richie Scarlett?
Richie Scarlett was in the band. No. Richie Scarlett wasn't in the band when I joined. My brother was. And then I left, but I left on good terms. And I came back and I did some gigs with Richie Scarlett when he was in the band. But yeah, Bonnie Parker Band.
Richie was the bass player in Leslie's Mountain when, but got to do what you got to do. So so then Bonnie Parker, I think I remember that because I remember you didn't get a lot of news about, or I didn't get a lot of news about guys, what they were doing, but there was, I would hear when you did something, or I remember you going, you just hear the stories of guys, and but then you lose track. So, but who else was there on the island? I know.
I played with Samantha, with Johnny Gale, Neil Posner, and Seth, and Stu, and all those. That's how I got the Rainbow gig, actually.
Really?
Richie saw me he saw me playing with Samantha. Well, he heard about me. Then he came to see me at Hammerheads with Samantha. And
which Hammerheads? Levittown or the big Hammerheads or the little?
The big one. The big one. Yeah, the one on Sunrise. Yeah.
I mean, how amazing was that we were able to do that? That whole scene. Think about that happening at any other time. You couldn't do it now.
No, there was just so many. I would tell people back in the day, if you had enough money and enough gas, you can go see 20 bands on a Saturday night. There's no place in the world where you can do that. Back in the day, there were. There were so many clubs and good bands, and you couldn't be a shit band and be playing.
No.
The bar was too high, and it was a great scene, so you're learning on the job. You're really learning how to play. Nowadays, like if a kid is in a band, even in a good band, they're playing 3 times a month. I was 17 playing 4 and 5 times a week.
We were playing 6 nights a week for decades. So that's where you learned it all. And it was just
big difference. Yeah.
Fun to just say, well, maybe I'm going to do this. What if I try this? And there was no practice. There was just playing.
No rehearsal.
Rehearsal? What's that? It's like, I remember the first time Leslie West asked me to play, and he asked me to find a bass player to play, which is another story. I said to him, well, okay, what about rehearsal? He knows the songs.
Oh, no, you know that shit. I used to tell him all the time, I used to go, Leslie, we should rehearse. Because in the end, he would forget stuff, you know what I mean? But I would say, Leslie, let's do it, like at least a Zoom rehearsal, just so we could go through the arrangements. And he'd go, don't worry about it, Bob. You're a professional. You know what you're doing.
I've told these stories a million times, but these are 2 of my favorite Leslie stories. I get a call from Leslie, and he says, Steve, we need a bass player that plays like Jack Bruce. I said, you know what? I know just the guy. This is the guy. He knows the songs. And name Al Renino. I don't know if you know him, but the guy's just a monster player, a super reader. I mean, just one of those guys, right? So I said, Al, I said, Leslie, when is the gig? He said, tomorrow. So, okay. So we're playing, it's Howard Stern's U.S. Open Source. And I had Al in the dressing room with me because Al's just like, he's a musician, one of those guys. He's not somebody that knows about, Yeah. And so he's nervous. He doesn't know what to do. And Leslie sticks his head in the door and he goes, Alan, his name's Albert. Alan, at the end of Nantucket Sleigh Ride, I want you to go ba-ba-da-ba-da. No, wait a minute. Go ba-da-da-ba-da-da-ba. No, hold on. Go bow, bow, ba-da. Never mind. Just do it the first way. And walks out. And Al's like, and I said, what do I do? I said, whatever you want. He's not even going to remember. He was in here in 5 minutes.
He was a great guy. He had great stories.
Great.
And in his day, one of the best ever.
Man, let me tell you what, I used to dance around. Before there were drugs, there was never in my life. I used to put on the headphones and get ready for school. And it was like, man, and so to do that every night with him, it was just, come on. It was.
By the time I played with him, he wanted to do it so slow, I couldn't even believe it. It was boom, 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 boom. I used to go, Leslie, come on. He goes, nah, it was too fast. That's the way your buddy Felix wanted it. This is the way it should have been. I went, whatever.
No way, man. That song is supposed to just, well, listen, you know what? Yeah, and the second story is this. I live in Southwest Florida, and I've been down here for a while. Leslie calls me 3 weeks before he passes away. And he says, Steve, I'm living in Florida now, up near Jacksonville. I said, great, Leslie, welcome to Florida. How you doing? He said, I got one leg. How the fuck do you think I'm doing? That was it.
That was Leslie. He was one of a kind. There'll never be another Leslie.
Man, and I feel so fortunate. I have such a deep love for him, really, truly. I mean, I know you've been on the chair, so I know you know what you know. But that tone was worth it. Playing those songs was freaking worth no matter what. And I had fun with the guy. And I'll tell you this, because at the time that we were working together, I was making him some money because I had some other things going on and this and that and the other thing. And Larry, his brother, says to him, Leslie, Steve is your karma. So, yeah,
he was a great guy. I really, really, really miss him.
Yeah, me too.
He was one of a kind, and he didn't know how good he was. He didn't. I used to tell him, I used to go, Leslie, that sound. Everybody wants that sound. I even had one of the amps, the old Sun Coliseum PA heads. You know, he goes, Bobby, he goes, that was your buddy Felix's idea of a good sound. It wasn't mine. It's too distorted. I go, too distorted? People are still trying to get that sound. Are you kidding?
Well, you know, he told me a story once. You know, I've been through, you know, I was on and off with him for years, and we were friends. You know, we really were friends. We did Christmas presents or birthday presents every once in a while, and he was Leslie. And I said to him one night, I said, man, listen, I said, I know you don't like people telling you how much they enjoy what you're playing. I said, but man, how did, you know, I said the vibrato, it's my favorite. How did you develop the vibrato? Do you know the answer to this? He said, I was trying to imitate Clapton and it didn't work.
Well, no, he loved Clapton. He said he used to lock himself in the room and just listen to Clapton. But he really didn't. I honestly, because I'm not going to mention names, but the guys that he thought were cool from today's genre, I told him, Leslie, a lot of these people, they couldn't shine your shoes. I go, if they came up when you came up with Beck, you came up with Jimmy Page, you came up with Clapton, Hendrix, and you were still revered by all of these people.
And as unique as any one of those.
In his own way, absolutely. The most melodic, sing-songy, heavy shit you ever heard.
I can sing and try to play every one of those solos.
Yeah, absolutely. They're stuck in they're burned in your head. It's just not notes. It was like, yeah. I read an article in Hit Parade or one of those magazines when I was a kid. It was a Jeff Beck article. And Jeff said, well, I just went to see Leslie West and I went backstage to take and made sure I told him he was the greatest guitar player in the world. I read that. Why would I make it up? But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was great. You know, I got pictures of him jamming at Angano's with Jimi Hendrix playing bass.
I have that picture too. I like unbelievable. Yeah, he was great. I have a picture of him, you know, I'll tell you a funny story. When we were doing England, we were, you know the run, and we were heading down to do the Shepherd's Bush Empire. And I said, Leslie, John doesn't live that far from here. We're on our way down from the north, and we were cutting through where Entwistle's house was. I said, if you want, I'll call him. We could stop by and say hello. He said, yeah, okay. And John's house was like, it was absurd. 53 rooms, 50 acres. It was the house for the rock stars of the 70s. And we pull in the driveway, and he's got suits of armor. And and it's just, right? And Leslie goes, holy shit, Steve. And he's just a fucking bass player.
Oh, great. That's Leslie, man. That's Leslie.
And then, they really was the only time, John loved to show his stuff off. And when you live in the Cotswolds, there's not like your neighbor. Steve Winwood was John's neighbor, but it took 20 minutes to get to his house.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, John, how you doing? You're not walking down. It's not like the city, right? Yeah. And so John, he had an awesome guitar collection, and he really could show Leslie, here's this, and this is, he had like the number 3 Explorer and the number 2 Flying V. Just ridiculous guitars. And he just had so much fun showing them to Leslie. And the look on Leslie's face, it was so normal and almost childlike to watch him enjoy, because it was great. It was really great. And then he says, John, come up and play. Right? So we're playing the Shepherd's Bush Empire that night. And so John comes up, and what does he do? He starts, "You Really Got Me," which means John's going to play ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da. But you know what? It was Leslie, and truly, we were both, man, we both know something a lot of guys will never know.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And anybody that missed him growing up or missed Mountain, they really missed something special, because I was starting a band with Felix Pappalardi.
Really?
Right before he died. I was in Rainbow. And Felix Pappalardi, the singer Jeff Fenholt, who was in Jesus Christ Superstar as Jesus on Broadway, he knew Felix, and he set up a jam with me and my brother, Felix and Jeff. And we played together a few times. It was like magic. And, wow. Felix was like, "We're going to do this. We are going to do this." And I said, "Well, after this next Rainbow tour, let's do it," you know? And she killed him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Gail. But I'm sure Leslie told you those stories too, about the trial and all that stuff. And, you know, this is the stuff that people just don't get to hear, because, you know.
She called her lawyer before she called 911, so it wasn't an accident.
You know, but hey, you know, whatever. It's, you know, the thing that I'm happy about is maybe Leslie died a little too soon, but he died with every note on the fingerboard right where it was supposed to be. It wasn't like, He didn't
really suffer, you know what I mean? I mean, he had it hard, you know, when he lost the leg. And when he lost the leg, I had texted him Merry Christmas, you know, and I hope you're feeling okay. And he says, and then he called me. He goes, "Bobby, I'm playing at BB King's. I was just going to do it with our bass player, Rev." I says, "How could you play Mountain with just you and the bass player?" I said, "I'll come down and I'll play for free." "Oh, I can't pay you because it's not in the budget." I said, "Don't worry about it, Leslie. I'll come." We actually rehearsed, you know, and, you know, so I did my first gig with Leslie for free. And it was still, you know, even he wasn't at 100%. But his 50% was better than most people's 100 fucking percent.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've got shows that we did Karlshamn, you know, the big festival in Sweden. And I'm lucky enough to have some videotapes of those things. And man, when I had something from South Shields, or somebody sent me something, I don't even remember where it was, but there are nights when it was so freaking good.
And even if there were moments that reminded you, there he is, that's him. Listen to those notes, you get chills. Yeah. You know, but it was the hardest gig I ever did, because he followed no arrangement. I'm looking at him like a fucking mook the whole night, because I couldn't take my eyes off him. Because I can't, what am I going to do? Be right? I got to follow him.
Can't be right. I'll tell you another funny story. We're doing Nantucket Sleigh Ride, right? And he can't remember the turnaround. He can't remember. And so we just keep going back and forth to bam, ba-doom, and it's like, and I'm screaming over the drum set. I don't know how many times we went around. It was like craziness. But hey, you know what? That's rock and roll. That's rock and roll.
You know, I had a big fight with him. He always, I think it was Theme. It's just an upbeat. You know? And he would say, "Bobby, you screwed that part up." You know, and if I made a mistake, I got no problem saying, "I made a mistake, sorry." I go, "Leslie, I didn't make a mistake." I go, "It's just an upbeat. You're looking at it like it's a fucking Mahavishnu part. It's not in 17.3.5. I go, "It's just an upbeat." He goes, "I've been doing it for 40 years. I said, "Then you've been doing it wrong for 40 years. And I said, "You know what? You never sang that song. Felix sang that song. Maybe that's why you didn't screw it up then." Oh, we would have fights. Oh, God.
You're cracking me up. because he wants to do Crossroads, right? Now we all know it's right. I mean, that's just what it is. And no matter how fast you play it, how slow you play it, it's N1, and that's what it is. And he says to me, "You're doing the hi-hat in the wrong place." I said,
he was always like that. He was he was really, in the beginning, he was really hard on me, and I just got used to it, and then it became cool. He would actually let me write out the sets. What do you think, Bob? What should we start with? But in the beginning, he had to have somebody to beat up on. He just did, and it was fun. I quit on him. I quit when we played a gig that was like an overnight gig that was like 5 hours away, and he tried to give me the same expense money he gives me, when it's a go home night. You know what I mean? And an hour away, So I says, "Leslie, that's not right." He goes, "Bobby, I heard about you. You're cheap. You're cheap. That's your reputation." I said, "Fuck you. I quit." "You quit? You quit?" And he starts screaming at me. And we wound up making up like 6 months later, but we had some big blowout fights. But I loved him. I really loved him.
I made him cry.
Oh, boy.
My wife is sitting over here.
Because he said the same thing to me. You're cheap. He says the same thing.
Well, I said, I went to the tour manager, and Joe, the tour manager, and I said, "Do we have our PD? Is it a buyout or is it or is it a meal?" "No, there's nothing tonight." "There's nothing tonight." "Really? Did you get anything?" "Well, yeah. Well, what do you mean there's nothing tonight?" So I go and I get into it with Leslie. I said, "Leslie, you stiffing us out of whatever it was, $40? "Ah, you cheap fuck. I was going to do something nice for the road crew, but no, you got to come along and ruin it." And he starts getting into me. We have to drive for a long, long way.
It was you, Richie.
It was me, Richie, and Dean, and Leslie in the car, right?
Oh,
and
boy.
Leslie's in the front seat in the passenger seat. I'm directly behind him. Richie's to my left. Dean is driving. And he's telling me, "You cheap fuck, I played your fucking club and you this, that, and the other thing." And I said to him, "It's not my fault you can't draw a crowd with a pencil." And I mean, it's going back and forth and back and forth. And he says, "What are you going to do? You're going to beat me up like Corky Lang?" And I said, "You motherfucker." And I start pounding my fist on the back of the headrest and it starts to bend. And he freaks. We stop in front of him in the hotel. He runs out. "I'm calling the police. I'm calling the police." Runs into the place.
You said, "Call him."
I said, "Call him. Call him." And so I go into Richie's room. I can't. Richie was the bass player at the time. I'm too freaking torqued up. I'm walking back and forth, and all of a sudden I hear, and it's Leslie wearing that giant white T-shirt that he used to wear. You remember the freaking dress? And he's got his head down. I mean, I was like just livid. Because he went nuts, and he's crying, and he goes, "I'm so sorry." And I said, "Okay, no problem." I hugged him, and he turned into a 9-year-old kid for a second, and then ran away. But if you ever see Richie Scarlett, just say, "Is it true that Steve made Leslie cry?"
Oh, I'm going to call him.
You gotta call him. It's, man, you can't make Bobby. Jesus, it's this is amazing, dude. Listen, I have so much other stuff to talk to you about, and we didn't scratch nearly the surface, but I'm so glad that I'm sure Angus sent you the questions, and we'll do all those because I'm sure you've got great answers to the questions. But it really is so good to sit and just talk stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm going to. I got a jam tonight. I do a jam every Tuesday, and Randy Jackson's playing guitar at the jam tonight with me. So it's gonna be great. And
yeah, he's great. Well, listen, I mean, if you want, is there a website? Because there's people watching. Is there, I'm all about promoting. Is there something?
Yeah, no, we just do it on Facebook, because we have like 5 guitar players that rotate with me and the same bass player, Rob DiMartino, and Randy's on tonight. You know, we do Randy about every 5 weeks. He's
That's
great.
Where is it? In case anybody's
Down at a club called Katie's.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm. You know, you should still be playing, bro. You're still a kid. You look great. And
I gotta play. I mean, I teach a lot when I'm home, and I practice. But you got to be on stage, and everything's mic'd up there. It's like a nice sounding room, and
yeah, I know. Well, listen, you know, we're gonna cross again. But are you ready for the do or die career-ending questions?
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I know you've been around the world. I know where you've been. I know most of the places. Favorite restaurant on the road when you're going to Singapore? I can't wait.
Okay, if you want the best restaurant in the world, you got to go to Tokyo. And you got to go to Serena's. Serena's is a shabu-shabu restaurant. Mm-hmm. Very high-end. It's like I couldn't afford the bill if I got it. Mr. Udo would always take us there, and he goes, Bobby, you're going to really love Serena's. It's a beautiful place. So you know what shabu-shabu is?
Yeah, sure.
Thin sliced beef, and you dip it in the water, and it cooks right in front of you, and that's got to be number one. Okay,
well, I would have to agree with you. I did the Tokyo meal with the promoter, and it's a great one. You know. Okay, here we go. Next up. This can go all the way back to Railway and Gun, all the way forward to whatever's coming next. Set list comes out. There it is. Your favorite song to play live. What's that song?
You know, it's kind of weird because it's not one of my songs. It would probably be Stargazer by Rainbow.
Oh, cool.
Because I loved the intro. I loved Cozy. We were good friends. I loved the song. Maybe that's a real hard one, but I would say Stargazer. Just because it's got the coolest drum intro maybe ever, you know.
I won't be over to give you the tattoo for like another 3 weeks, so you could change your mind if you need to. Okay. Set list comes out. There it is. Don't ever want to play this fucking song again. What is that song?
It might be Superstition.
Oh, really?
It's a great song.
It is a great song.
But it's been done to death at every jam. Like I think I outlawed it at my jam. You're not allowed, but somebody snuck it in just a week ago, and I wanted to kill him. But because I play the first, like me and Randy tonight will play for an hour with Rob, and then we let people come up, and we have a different guitar player and a different bass player run the jam. So every once in a while, it sneaks through the cracks, but maybe Superstition.
I get it.
Not really. That's the one everybody would know that I don't like. So
yeah, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then you could have something clever to say if anybody calls it. That's, you know, listen, it could be Knock on Wood. It could be Mustang Sally. It could be in it.
Well, Mustang Sally's been outlawed, but it's been outlawed so long that I almost wouldn't mind playing it again. You know what I mean?
What about Brown Eyed Girl? That is the most despised song on the list.
Yeah, no. That's a little too fruity for me.
23 people have said Brown Eyed Girl.
Ah.
Oh, yeah. Poor Van Morrison. I'm sure he's hurt, but, you know. Okay, so let's see. Now, drums. And, man, not just drums, excellent drums for your whole life. But if you couldn't play that and you had to shred at any other instrument, trumpet, ice bell, anything in the world. No, not ice bell because you're a drummer. Harp, any instrument. What would you want to shred?
What would I pick if I wasn't a drummer? Yeah, I'd be the guitar player, so I could be a miserable bastard to everybody. I could be the loudest guy in the room, and I'd probably make more money. That's an easy one.
That's very funny, man. I mean, you know, I'm tempted to tell some guitar player jokes, but I think maybe we'll save those.
No, I played with some of the best guys
I know who you
in the world, you know, and some of them are like some of the nicest guys in the world, but are also the quirkiest, most of them, the craziest, you know. But you know what? If you can't play drums, the coolest thing I think would be playing lead guitar.
Yeah, I would agree. Or being an amazing singer, maybe that could be cool. But
but your voice could go. You know what I mean? I never heard a guitar player say, "I can't play tonight. I got a cold." You know what I mean?
Right. Yes, I do. I do. Although I once had the pleasure of watching Jeff Beck tape his thumb up so no one would ask him to jam at a NAMM show at the Celebrity Theater. So I said, he was with Van Halen. I said, Eddie, is he okay? He said, yeah, he just doesn't want to play tonight. Dude got white surgical tape on. Okay. Wow. All right. So let's see. Did you know that I did a week in Rainbow?
I heard something, but I really don't. I don't know much about it.
But you listen, we're going to stay connected. I'm really grateful that we had this time. I'll tell you the story. You know, it's a week, so you get it. You know what I mean? I was there for a week in the studio, but it was a blast. And Roger, I'm still friends with. I love that guy. Joe Lynn, of course. David. You know, those are the guys that were in when I was. But anyway. We have a lot, man. Our history is so like this. Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
All right, so here's the last question before I let you go for dinner. If you could play one gig with anybody or any combination of guys, living or dead, who would it be?
That's fucking easy, man. That's easy. Any drummer that doesn't say Led Zeppelin that's a rock drummer isn't a good rock drummer. I would love to play with Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Case closed.
Not Hendrix, not a Hendrix thing for you?
I loved Hendrix, but if you want to play rock and roll drums, that's the seat. That's the seat.
There is no other, obviously.
You know, I saw them open for Iron Butterfly. I went to see Iron Butterfly at the Fillmore, and I was too young to go. My father brought me and my brother to see Iron Butterfly, and Bill Graham comes out and goes, the Move canceled. The Move was guys from ELO, then became ELO, and we got this new band from England called Led Zeppelin. I remember going to my father, which one's Led? I thought it was like a name of a country group, Led Zeppelin. Then they came out, and 2 minutes into it, I said to my father, I go, Dad, these guys are better than the guys we came to see. You know, and it was like, hello, you know.
Well, I listen, you know, we had the opportunity to see the great bands. I saw Queen open for Mott the Hoople at the Öyster. Wow. So, you know, but hey, man, listen, I could talk to you all night, and I probably will. I'll call you after the show. This has been fantastic, Bobby. Say hey to Teddy for me, please. You know,
I will.
And of course Jackson. He was had him on just a couple of nights ago. He was my very first guest. And he's my what's up? Yeah, and my 100th guest. You know, Randy's like you use him, you got him, you love him.
Great guy.
Anyway, man, thank you for your time, brother. Lots of love to you, and I hope I see you out there soon.
Okay, great. Take care. So long, Laurie. Take care. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. See you soon.
Bye.
How cool was that? I don't know if I've ever had a chance to talk with Bobby one-on-one for that long and about that cool stuff. He knows his stuff. Collector, and right on the front lines playing. Anyway, you know how it goes. If I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture, but I'm sure I'll see you out there. And I hope I'll see you next week for another episode of Rock and Roll Show and Tell.